Thank you so much. Let's go to some breaking news right now of a police pursuit in Montebello.
Stu Mandel is in Sky 9. Stu.
Well, it's in Montebello. We're on the 60 now. This has been going on for quite a little bit of time out here. Started out in the Huntington Park area. Huntington Park PD still in pursuit of this vehicle. You can see that pickup truck right there. Stolen vehicle, that's what they're saying. This guy driving extremely fast has had a lot of luck this evening. Wrong side of the road at many opportunities. Been going against red lights. Right now we are westbound on the 60 freeway, working our way out of the Montebello area back into the East Los Angeles area. This is the first time I've seen this truck on the freeway. We've been listening for quite some time. He's had plenty of opportunities to get on the freeway, but he seemed to like those surface streets. Take a look at these speeds, though. We've been staying so tight on it, you really don't get a feel for how fast this truck is going. About 80, 90 miles an hour on the freeway. Look at that on-ramp, an off-ramp. Now he's going to kind of be forced onto it coming back across. Look at this weaving in and out of traffic. Now, earlier on, these speeds were actually on the streets. Here we go. We're getting off the freeway. High speeds, pickup truck, you know, could create some kind of issues. That light rear end. Right now, we're exiting, running another red light, northbound on Atlantic.
Do we know the agency following this driver? Do we know if anybody's behind him at this point in time?
Yes, there definitely are. There is Huntington Park PD is the actual agency still behind this vehicle. You can see some of their cars right there. Whoa, that officer, that one that's the SUV right there, just in the corner of my eye, he actually fishtailed as he was making his way onto the street. We're going to get those streets. We were on Atlantic there for a little bit. You can take a look. You got hearing traffic coming up ahead. That's going to create a problem. Up onto the sidewalk, driving across the sidewalk, back onto the road. This is the type of driving that is so dangerous out here. This is one of the reasons why we're having all these new pursuit policies. Right now, though, this vehicle continuing to elude Huntington Park PD. They have a helicopter above. This guy that's in the helicopter, officer of the law, very gentle. He's been calling out the streets. He's been keeping an eye on it. Officers from Huntington Park PD, they've got to be concerned about the civilians. They've got to be concerned about so much other lives out here this evening and property. So much going on in the night. Wrong side of the road again, running through a green light, though, but he's still trying to get away from those officers. Extremely high speeds.
Yeah, Stu, this driver's already shown that they have very little regard for the innocent people surrounding them by leading Huntington Park PD on this pursuit, but also, as we just witnessed, to get around some of the traffic, drove onto the sidewalk. There could have been pedestrians there, and wow, now he just caught a little bit of air there going. Stu, how fast do you think he's going right now?
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get some locations out here. That bump right there, that truck got air. The cooler that was in the back of the truck flying out of the back of the truck. I'm doing a little bit of ciphering out here. It's going about 80 miles an hour. 80 miles an hour across the ground down there. Really trying to get the name of that street for you guys because the vehicle moving so fast. If you know somebody in the area, there we go. Southbound turn. San Carlos is the name of the street. Smaller street out here, but you can see that wild maneuver he made right there. Caught me off guard as I was trying to get the name of that street. You know, he's on San Carlos. This is a smaller street, residential area. He's been in these areas earlier on. We heard those street names being called out earlier on, but again, don't know if he knows these areas. We know this vehicle possibly stolen, extremely high speeds, very dangerous situation. Huntington Park in pursuit. Their vehicles are a little bit farther behind because they've got to follow some of these traffic rules. This guy not following any rules, and it looks like we're going underneath the freeway right there. Coming out on 3rd, got some traffic out there. So that's going to be 3rd Street, westbound 3rd Street. So we're in the East LA area.
Yeah, this is going to be in East LA at this point in time. This started not too far away in Montebello, went through Huntington Park Police in pursuit of this stolen vehicle. The driver, at one point in time, very aggressive, going speeds of 80 to 90 miles an hour on 60 freeway. And I don't know if we want to bring in that other picture of the inset box, but this driver, at one point in time, went onto a sidewalk as the police were getting a little closer to him through an intersection, blowing through the stop signs and the stoplights. It's at night. It looks like he's going 60, 70 miles per hour. You see him getting off of the 60 freeway there on the right-hand part of your screen. And then he proceeded to go just as fast through these surface streets. You're going to see he makes a wide turn. And then at one point in time, Elsa makes a wide turn here, and it goes up onto a sidewalk to avoid getting caught in some traffic. I believe that's going to happen right there, right onto the sidewalk.
Yep, we've seen him already blow through intersections. We've seen him drive on the wrong side of the road, as we typically do in a lot of these pursuits. And right there, you saw he actually caught some air there a little earlier and hit so hard that a cooler in the back of the truck bounced out of the truck. And Stu estimated he was going about 80 plus at that point when he caught some air, leading Huntington Park Police on this pursuit.
And this is a pursuit of a stolen vehicle, but with the cooler in back now gone, you wonder if the guy's been drinking it. Maybe it's also a drunk driver as well. But we continue to follow this police pursuit here on KCAL 9. Let's go back up to Sky 9 and Stu Mundell with the very latest. Stu.
Coming up on Indiana right there off of Ruin, taking a turn right there, southbound turn. You know, what we've been watching the truck. I always try to keep an eye on these vehicles. Sometimes when he's hitting that brake, you can see that truck kind of lunge a little bit. You gotta wonder, maybe these brakes starting to overheat a little bit because of all this hard driving. Right now, though, he's good back wrong way on the road, running a solid red. That's Indiana. He's on Indiana. We just crossed Whittier. So if you know the area, if you know anybody in this area, give him a little bit of a heads up if you can that this is going on. This vehicle moving so fast this evening. That was the 5 freeway that we just saw there. So fast. It's made so many close calls. Westbound on Olympic, this guy making these wide turns. He's got no reason. The traffic is very light, but he's choosing to be on the wrong side of the road. This type of behavior might elude some of the other agencies, but Huntington Park this evening, they want this guy stopped. Southbound turn.
Go ahead, Stu, as you're getting some of the... Stu,
I was just going to say, getting into an industrial area out here. Southbound on Palace, as I understand it, but he hasn't slowed down. He hasn't come to a stop. Looks like we're in an alleyway right there. So this is going to be a little bit more industrial of an area, less vehicles out here, but some bigger trucks. And you've seen these making these wide turns. We're on Union Pacific right now. This vehicle continues to elude the officers from Huntington Park. It appears to be a sheriff's helicopter overhead this evening. And Esperanza was the last major that we crossed. Speeds continuing to stay about 70 miles an hour. This truck continues to elude officers. So dangerous, so many close calls out here. I got to tell you, every time we go through one of those reds, my fingers get a little bit numb because I'm just so worried that there's going to be a car right there. Getting back out onto a major, we'll get you a street here in a second. Grande Vista, and we're northbound right now. This pursuit continuing, truck slowing down just a little bit. Maybe this guy's starting to calm down.
We certainly hope, at least now that he's moved into, or she has moved into an industrial area now that they're out, though, that possibly they will just run into a dead end, but unfortunately they made their way out of that industrial area and they're back out on some of the major streets there in East LA. As Stu mentioned, this driver has a lot of open road. It is later in the evening, not a lot of traffic, but sometimes this driver has chosen to drive on the wrong side of the road. Definitely has chosen to blow through red lights, stop signs, intersections, drove on the sidewalk, and now here we go. He's going back into what looks like a parking lot. Yeah,
and these are very small residential streets. You know, the speed limit here is 25, 30 miles an hour. And it appears that this driver is going much more than that, probably double, 50, 60 miles an hour, just blowing through these intersections. And one thing that we can hope for is if he's going through into these neighborhoods, if he doesn't know this area, then maybe he can get himself trapped into a cul-de-sac or maybe a dead end. Police are obviously on his tail. And if he's just kind of driving around willy-nilly, maybe there's a way that he could get himself captured on one of these side roads as he continues to drive recklessly on the sidewalk, catching air at one point in time, getting a couple of wheels off of the ground in a stolen pickup truck. And this is Huntington Park Police in pursuit.
And the sheriff's helicopter hovering above, keeping that spotlight on him, doing a very good job keeping the spotlight on this driver, leading Huntington Park Police on this pursuit. Stolen vehicle, we're told. And there, again, a second time, Stu, we've seen this driver catch air, leading the PD on pursuit here.
You know, this is the first time we've been on this side of the truck, and even with the light out here this night, it almost looks like there's two people in that. Maybe a passenger, but it may be not. I got to be honest with you. I'm really trying to see if there's two people inside that vehicle. If there is, you've just got to wonder what that conversation is. The passenger is probably just saying, can we just stop this thing? But this is continuing on out there. Eastbound, we'll get the name of the street. I've been staying so tight on it just because he's been driving so in these tiny streets. A lot of dips out there. Actually, the officers from the helicopter warning the cars on the ground down there of all these dips. Getting some traffic out there, some cars in the neighborhood, probably just some people just trying to get home. There we go, just through another one, another red light, continuing eastbound, residential neighborhood out here. This pickup truck, built Chevy tough, you know it, but it's in this type of situations, you just got to worry that he's going to collide with somebody. Southbound on Lorena, that's going to be the move. And on the wrong side of the road again, no real reason for it. The traffic, there is none. It's wide open, especially where this guy is right now. Really starting to put the hammer down once again. This vehicle's starting to move. Times we've been hearing 80 miles an hour on surface streets. That is just crazy. And again, coming up on another Olympic, westbound on Olympic, didn't run that light, but it does seem now that we're starting to make these kind of big turns out here. We've seen this in the past. This might be the beginning of the end. Hopefully, especially for all the people that are on the ground this evening, just doing their thing, not knowing that this lunatic is just driving around. Back on Grande Vista, this was a street that he was on earlier on.
So are we just going around in circles, too? Are we just going around in circles
then? Just kind of going around in circles. These are big circles, and it seems to be a housing complex out here, an apartment complex. But you can see some of the officers from the Huntington Park Police Department really just staying with them. You've got another one right there. And it kind of wonder if he was thinking what you guys were just thinking too. Is he just making circles? Because that guy was waiting for him. So a little bit closer behind him. Don't know if they're going to try to do a pit maneuver back onto Lorena. So we've heard these street names constantly over and over. So you know he's making these big blocks out here. But where's he going? Hopefully he's just going to go to jail, not to a hospital or worse. Right now, though, we're just concerned about the public and, of course, the officer safety. Coming back to about the 5 freeway, northbound Lorena, high speeds, stolen pickup truck. Possibly 2 people inside.
You know what? We'll get right back to Stu, but we do have some new information on this pursuit. We do understand that the Huntington Park Police initially ran the plates, pulled this vehicle over. The driver pulled over to the side of the road, and just as police officers were getting out to check on the driver behind the stolen vehicle, the truck, then the driver took off. We understand the cops were getting out of their cars as they were attempting to pull this vehicle over, who had pulled over to the side of the road, and the driver also just took off, and then the pursuit began.
We picked it up in Huntington Park, but it had been going on for a little bit before we picked it up. Huntington Park, Montebello, and now going in circles, it seems like, on the streets of East LA. Possibly this driver just buying some time to try to figure out what they need to do or what they want to do, but in the meantime, they continue to put innocent people's lives in danger. The Huntington Park Police, who are following this stolen vehicle, their lives are in danger every time they have to engage in a pursuit. So hopefully, as we were saying, Jeff, we've seen this happen before many times. Sometimes the person leading police on the pursuit ends up at a dead end. We can only hope that will happen, a cul-de-sac or a dead end. But right now, that's not the case. This driver's been going 70, 80, 90 miles per hour on surface streets. The freeway, too, has been going so fast at times, has caught air going over some bumps. That has happened at least twice as this person leads the Huntington Park PD on a pursuit.
Let's go back up to Stu Medell and Sky 9. I see you got a closer shot there, Stu. At one point in time, you thought there might be 2 people in that truck. What do you think now?
Well, you know, right now we're on the driver's side. Obviously, there's a driver in this. Is he got any kind of idea what he's doing? You can only wonder. See, there we go. Shoof. Oh, no. Took that taxi cab to right out, T-boned it straight. Truck's still going. You've got to wonder about that damage right now, and of course the 2 people inside that vehicle. That taxi definitely stopped out there. This truck continuing to move along. That front wheel definitely smoking right now. Don't know if that's going to be fluid from the radiator or any of the other vital parts of the engine in the front of that truck. You've got the coolant for the radiator and also the transmission in there. Right now, though, it does seem like a lot of spewing out the front. So you gotta think, is that engine going to give up before another person is hurt? This truck continuing on, trying to get away. On Cesar Chavez right now, hard on the brakes once again. You got to wonder what's up ahead because this guy never uses his brakes. There we go. You saw some other traffic, but now it does seem like the truck may be in peril. So this might be coming to an end shortly. That driver, he's continuing to push it, but you can see a lot coming out of the front of that truck.
Gosh, I really hope the way that truck hit the taxi cab that there wasn't a fare in the back seat, because it looks like the driver hit that area there where people would be. We'll try to get some information on the conditions of the people or person inside the taxi cab that was just hit. You see there on the right of your screen. But in the meantime, the truck kept going after it hit the taxi cab. It appears the truck is showing signs of damage and wear and tear. Stu, who knows if that happened the 2 times this person was going 80 miles an hour and went airborne after they hit some bumps in the road, or if it happened after they hit the taxi. Nonetheless, the truck is still leading Huntington Park Police on a pursuit. This is a stolen truck, started, or at least we picked it up in Huntington Park, Montebello, East LA, and now the driver has gotten back onto the freeway.
Stu, what freeway is he on now?
We are southbound 710 passing 3rd Street. This vehicle still moving out there. East LA, I'm just hearing it right now that they are sending ambulances out to that area where that taxi cab was hit. It's near Indiana. They're calling East LA. Looks like we're going to be getting off the freeway again. You're right. We're hoping that nobody was in the back of that cab. Obviously, that driver, we're hoping he's okay, or she is okay as well. Those cars, though, you got to remember, those are the same vehicles that officers use. One of the reasons why is because they are so sturdy. So we're hopeful that nobody was badly hurt inside that cab. This pickup truck, though, keeping moving, solid back into the East Los Angeles area. We'll get you some streets here in just a moment. But that pickup truck still going out there. Perhaps that's just something rubbing on the tire, creating heat. Every now and then we'll see some sparks. This truck is northbound on Eastern. Speed's a little bit slower, thank goodness. But this truck is continuing to go. This driver, he's still, you say the word driver, but you just got to wonder what this guy is thinking. He's just pushing this thing and pushing this thing for what? Officers are going to get this guy in the end. He's already hurt at least one person, the driver. Now he's on the rails out here in the East Los Angeles area, and he's on the train tracks. He's on the train tracks. He's going to be going underneath. And
so this is an area that the police cannot follow him through that, because that's...
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the trench of the Gold Line there, and it appears that, I mean, if you're a police officer, you would not want to follow that, because there could be a train coming, but there's a point in time where if you're going, as you see there, a median in between, you can't get away. If there's a train coming that way, that driver is stuck.
Yeah, definitely not safe for officers to follow on the tracks as well, but obviously this person leading them on a pursuit really doesn't care much about what happens to possibly themselves or to other people around them. Obviously, he slammed into a taxi cab with no regard for who or, the conditions of the people inside after he hit the truck, and continued going.
Yep. Well, this is this driver here. You see the sparks coming out the left side of the truck there. That's going to be on the left wheel. We don't know if it's because the brakes are just running hot, but he continues to put the foot down on the pedal here, pedal to the metal, and driving this truck for all he can. This is a stolen vehicle out of Huntington Park. Earlier tonight, we've seen this driver go through Montebello, East LA, back on the highway, now back onto some railroad tracks.
Back onto
the rails. We've seen some very aggressive driving. Let's go back up to Stu.
Yeah, this guy, you make those jokes that thing handles like it's on rails. This guy is driving on the railroad tracks, extremely dangerous. I'm getting people telling me in my ear there's a lot of underground where this train track goes. There it is, right there. He's actually underneath the roadway right there. We're going to keep an eye on it, see if he pops up on the other side. But this might be the point where this guy tries to get out. Hopefully, there's no train traffic down there this evening. They helicopter, thinking maybe he's going to go back the other way. We're going to pan up the other direction, see if we can figure out where this thing pops back up. But right now, that pickup truck eluding officers, but
okay, you know
it
what?
pops out on Soto.
Yeah,
that's what we're hearing.
Let's see if we can get some inset video of the aggressive driving before, because at this point in time, he is under the road, riding the rails of the Gold Line, this suspected driver of a stolen vehicle. So let's go to some... let's get some more video. This is him going underground just seconds ago, as this is the Gold Line. This is going to be just moments ago, and then also went completely underground, and you got to wonder, at what point in time do you think that that's a good idea?
Well, obviously, this person isn't really thinking at all, so it might seem perfectly logical, anything to get away, or at least think they can get away from the police in hot pursuit of this driver. But right now, again, this is probably the first time I've ever seen in all the pursuits that we've covered that somebody actually went down underground on the train tracks to try to get away from the police that were following them on a pursuit. We haven't seen this person leading police on this chase in a stolen vehicle come out of the other side yet. Well, so we don't know what's happening in there right now. Stu,
this is the other end here. Now, one thing that's good is if the driver gets stuck down there, I mean, he can't do any more harm to anybody. I mean, he's already, driven the wrong side, gone on the sidewalk, T-boned a taxi. And so if he's down there, unless, of course, a train full of people, I would assume that they would have alerted the engineers on that Gold Line to stop, because we're waiting for this pursuit driver to come out. As they were riding the rails on the Gold Line, it went underground, and that's the last we saw of this pickup truck, a stolen vehicle out of Huntington Park. Now, police officers ran the tag, pulled the guy over. He stopped over on the side of the road. They got out of the vehicles, and then that's when he took off. You see on the right-hand side of your screen here, this is the driver doing 80 to 90 miles an hour on the highway, making wide turns here on surface streets, going 50, 60, and then going up onto a sidewalk at one point in time. Thankfully, no pedestrians on there, and then you also we'll see him eventually. There goes on the sidewalk. We'll see him eventually T-bone that taxi cab.
Yeah, by the way, we do have a reporter going to the scene of that accident where the taxi cab was hit. There's this driver, the stolen pickup, catching air one of the 2 times there that we've caught on video on Sky 9. But we do have a reporter going to the scene of that accident where the taxi cab is, to see what happened, the conditions of the person or people inside that cab, and to make sure that they're okay. In the meantime, what you're watching on the right of your screen is just the aggressive driving, and there's the crash into the taxi cab that this driver has been engaging in the entire time during this pursuit.
At first he says it's an underground stop.
Stu is right now getting information on what streets this pursuit could continue on. If the driver pops out on the other side of the trench of the Gold Line, where he has now taken this pursuit. Obviously, police were not going to follow in after him, yes, but now we are seeing a train going in that direction. Stu, you are on the other side of where this truck could possibly come out, and there is a train going in there.
That's right. And we're assuming that this is where this truck will come out at. We're hearing the officers trying to figure this out as well. I was asking if there were any underground stops down there that maybe they could pull the truck over and get out and run. I am hearing also that they're trying to get a hold of the Metro officers, the ones that handle the trains, and they're going to try to stop the train traffic right now. We've been looking in this area. This is the spot where we think he would come out, but we haven't seen that truck come out this way. There is no other place for him to go. So right now it's kind of waiting. He's possibly underground. Maybe he's just going to park and wait. Officers are going to shut it down, but we did see that train make its way in there. So I'm wondering if they're going to see that truck. There might be room for obviously there's 2 trains, so hopefully he's on the correct rail and there won't be a collision. But right now that train definitely making their way in there. We're going to see if we can hear some traffic perhaps.
Well, I can tell you that the driver did enter on the left side of the track, and the train entered on the right side of the track. Now, who knows if he remained on the left side of the track, which is our left, as you see here. It'd be the right as he entered. If he stayed on that track or not, or if he veered over to the other. I can't even imagine the desperate nature of somebody to do something like this.
What do we have coming out? Okay, now it's a train on the other track, Jeff. So, Stu, one went in on the right track. Now one is coming out on the left track. I certainly hope that the conductors of these trains were contacted to be aware that there is somebody who led them on a pursuit into the tunnel.
Yeah, they couldn't come out and they couldn't drive past it if it was theirs.
Right.
So maybe it's it is a different underground station, or maybe this isn't the exact place where he would come out. But there's a long stretch there between when he entered and when you see that exit. There could have been all kinds of stuff that happened. I mean, it's just amazing to me that, I've never seen anything like this before. No. This is somebody who went on the rails of the Gold Line, eluding police, and was so desperate to take on the train tracks, take a truck on a train tracks, and then go underground, thinking that there wasn't a train that was bearing down on him.
I don't think there's much thinking at all going on with this driver who's leading Huntington Park PD on this pursuit. Very dangerous, very aggressive, very high-speed pursuit through the streets of Huntington Park, Montebello, East LA, went in circles for a while, briefly hopped onto the 710 freeway, got back off. Going speeds 80 plus we've been watching since we picked up this pursuit. It originally started as police pulling over this truck. They ran the plates, pulled it over. The truck initially pulled over when it was signaled to pull over, and as soon as police officers got out of their patrol cars to approach the car, the driver took off. Since then, we've seen this driver make some extremely aggressive moves, which we are pulling up there on the right of your screen. This driver has eluded the traffic by driving up onto the sidewalk. You see the typical things we see in pursuits: blowing through stop signs, intersections, red lights, weaving in and out of traffic. We've seen this truck go onto the sidewalk, which is what you're watching right here. We've seen this truck twice, the driver of this truck, catch air because they were going so fast over bumps in the road.
We have some activity on the live side. Let's go back up to Stu Medell and see what's going on. Stu?
Well, they're talking about right now there's multiple spots where he possibly could have gotten out. This is going to be Mariachi Plaza right there. You can see that these officers going back to their vehicle. They might have got some information. They're talking about the trains are stopped right now, at least the one that was going in. But the one that came out, you're right, Elsa and Jeff, you've got to think if this guy saw a pickup truck down there, he's got to have called that in. Yeah. So you've got to wonder if that's what's going on right now. That officer basically heading back the other direction. He was lights and sirens, just shutting it off. But you could see that urgency right there. This is the one spot where they're saying that that there is an actual underground station where they can get off in that area. So perhaps they parked their vehicle somewhere, ran to this location, and have gotten out or tried to blend in with the crowds. We are listening to law enforcement, trying to, obviously keep an eye on that other end of the gopher hole, see if the train comes back out. But of course, we're also trying to see maybe the officers have a lead on where this guy is going. That's one of the Huntington Park officers right there, making their way back to the original spot where that truck went into that underground area. So they might have some information. We're working to see what we can figure out up here as well. Right now, though, that truck, we haven't seen it since it's gone in there. Obviously, we haven't heard a collision. That would be an entirely different situation. But right now, that truck, the last place we saw it, going into that gopher hole, that actually is in the distance right there. Obviously, they're keeping an eye on that as well. They haven't seen that pickup truck come out either. So it's got to be somewhere between this location and the other side where it comes back.
Yeah, I will say, obviously he went into the Gold Line there, and there would be cameras at every one of those stops. So at least they would have that evidence. Whether they could turn it around really quickly and use that right now, as you see a live scene here at the end of this police pursuit. We believe that the driver of a stolen pickup truck drove onto the Gold Line, went underground, and hasn't been seen since. The pickup truck has got to be down there somewhere. He might have gotten out and then taken off or fled on foot at one of those underground stations, and continue to follow this.
We can only hope there is security camera video above and below where this truck went in.
We do know that the trains now have officially stopped, so there is no more train traffic. Had he continued on, he would have came out way over here in this area. That's where the tunnel comes back up. Haven't seen any pickup trucks come out of this location at all. Right now, I'm going to have my pilot Brennan this evening. We're going to go back to where he went back in, because it does seem like there's some activity over there. But you got to know, this is a very dangerous situation. Even the officers are not making their way into that tunnel. So there is some danger. They know that there's trains down there and possibly even electrical. So right now, officers are still working their way into the area where the truck went in, and we'll see if this guy is coming back out or what the officers are going to start doing here shortly.
Yeah, and that truck went in. This is going to be a 2000 GMC Sierra, full-size pickup truck.
Now they're saying they have eyes on two people that are walking on the tracks underneath the ground here, and we'll see if they can actually catch them down there, but certainly they don't have eyes on the pickup truck yet. They do have eyes on two individuals that are walking along the train tracks down below, so we'll see what happens. I think they are now in the process of getting these trains stopped on this line. We're looking at First and Soto. This is where the officers ran down down into the subway there to see if they can spot the vehicle or the suspects, and they definitely have two people right now that they have eyes on, a male and a female, walking along the tracks down below.
Do we have any idea how far that tunnel runs? I mean, where does it come out on the other end? We know where they came in.
About 2 miles.
First Street and Gless, it's about, Chuck, it's about a 2 mile stretch, it seems like. You know, starting at the Evergreen Cemetery area, that's where we saw the car going westbound and go into the tunnel. And it comes back out past west of the 101 freeway at Gless Street along First Street. Now we can see an ambulance pulling into the scene. We don't know if that's for here or going to another call. But that's the distance from Evergreen Cemetery all the way past the 101 freeway, and I'm estimating that to be about 2 miles. It could be a little bit longer than that, but that's a long ways for a truck to be driving down into you know, that underground trainway, and certainly for those train commuters, it's got to be a nightmare for them to see a car coming at them.
You know, and we did count about half a dozen officers running down the stairs there into the subway system or the GO line system there.
We might have a suspect here running on the east side of Evergreen Cemetery, northbound of Lorena. Uncertain if it's related or not, but we're going to go investigate that right now. Okay, so we do have some units. We got an airship overhead. I got a suspect running. We might have him. So this is a suspect possibly running, or a guy just jogging. Okay, that's possibly him. We don't know that it's him yet, but possible suspect running northbound on Lorena. We're going to come all the way around the east side and go northbound. Unless it's just a guy out jogging, they're going to investigate it. Or a guy playing off like he's jogging. Nonetheless, they're going to take a look at it. This is northbound of Lorena coming up on Cesar Chavez. That's where the wreck happened, earlier with the cab, not too far from here. Trying to get some officers over here. There's some news crews here. This could be just a possible, could be just a jogger. We're just trying to verify that. The report came out of a possible suspect running northbound. Well, yeah. Okay, so the officers are going to talk to him. Yeah. This guy's got his earbuds on. He's saying, no, I'm just out for a jog. It's not me. You got the wrong guy. Well, they're going to determine that. They may hold him, see if they can get a description on it. The original description we had on the mail was blue jeans, black jacket, so black jacket with white print. So Sheriff's Department is talking to him. Again, this is right near where the wreck happened. They're going to walk him over here. They're going to take him into custody. Oh, seems like he's getting a little, what they call froggy. Not going with the program. So he's in, well, not in custody yet. He doesn't seem to be. We're going to walk him over. This This is just a possible now. We're not certain that this is the guy, but they're not taking any chances. Could be out for a jog. So the sheriffs are going to talk to him. They're just going to say, sir, you know, we just need to eliminate this. Okay. So he's in custody. They're going to handcuff him and detain him for the investigation, just in case. Could be just a jogger out tonight, and it could be the possible suspect. I'm sure they'll look at the video from the MTA cameras and compare it with the description of the suspect, see if he shed any clothing down there, maybe shed the jacket, maybe shed the jeans, had shorts on underneath. That's could be plausible. We'll look at the shoes here. Sometimes the shoes are telltale. You know, if those aren't running shoes and maybe just, we'll see. Okay, that's not going out. So they're going to put him in the back of the car, and they're going to detain him for the investigation here until they get more information or someone that possibly saw the suspect described and make sure that's not him.
I think we have a shot of that.
Yeah,
I think we have a shot of that. There it is.
Right
now, this is somebody that was detained at that location where the cab was T-boned. He was put in the back of a squad car. You're just seeing the back of his head. You can see one of the officers talking to him. Now, we don't know if this was a suspect in the stolen van pursuit or pickup truck pursuit, or if this person was wanted for something else. But they were taken into custody at that same area.
So we don't know if this person that they have in custody is the actual person or not. Here are the workers here. We're looking for that open hatch. This might be the location somewhere along the street here, but it's possible that driver made his way out of that track or out of the tunnel down there through that open hatch. We're going to circle this area to see what they have down here exactly.
And that makes sense if they were on the phone, because there are also there are phones down there, emergency phones, similar to the kind you see along a highway next to these exit points, so they could pick up a phone and they could talk to somebody on the surface. But there you see, I'd call it a vault. You can see the door, the metal door on the vault is lifted up. You can see the stairs that go down into the vault. There's a light there, and that's a nice shot, so you can see what that looks like. So that would be one of these emergency exit points should there be an accident on the train line down there. You have to get the passengers off. So that's definitely one of those exit points.
Well, they definitely found this one open, so it's unknown if someone went down there or someone was coming out. But certainly this is not too far from the area where that jogger was, where they took him into custody, not too far away.
Yeah, and that would explain perhaps the gentleman in the back seat of the patrol car.
Yeah.
Maybe he ran over in that direction.
And isn't there one of those utility trucks just in the middle of the road, just adjacent to this?
Yes, there he is right there.
So maybe that's why those trucks were called out, to help find those, I call them manholes, but you're right, Chuck, it's more like a vault there.
Yes, and we see an officer coming over to examine the situation.
We've got Robert Kovacic out there, and perhaps Robert can shed some additional light on this. Robert?
Well, what we can tell you is that, you know, we are watching whatever's going on with the suspect in the back of the car, and whatever he's in the back of the car for. We still don't have confirmation, but he seems to be giving a lot of lip service to the deputy in the driver's seat, and they're doing quite a bit of talking. And I can tell you, Chuck and Colleen, that sheriff's deputies made sure to keep NBC4 a great distance back from this car when we tried to approach it. And as we take a little walk here, Josh, let's just cross here. We're on Lorena and Cesar Chavez. We'll give you a ground shot now of the taxi cab that was involved in this crash when the driver hit him, and you can see the damage there to the side. Now, when we arrived, there were two women on the ground, paramedics on the sidewalk. LAFD paramedics arrived quickly. Both women have now been transported to area hospitals. It appears, and I'm certainly no doctor, that they have some sort of neck injuries. They were put on back braces and taken to the hospital. There's a driver in the car as well. I cannot be sure if these women were passengers or were relatives or friends of the drivers. We're still trying to figure that out. The driver's still being interviewed by investigators, but those women have been transported. We understand 2 women were in that taxi when it was hit, and you can see just this area right now is completely closed off. And if you go to Lorena and Cesar Chavez, Josh will show you that, you have the shattered glass, and you can see the impact from what happened here on the ground when that truck hit that taxi cab. And then we'll just swing over here just feet away, and as you can see, that closely guarded LASD patrol car with a suspect inside, a man who apparently has plenty to say. We just don't know what he's talking about right now, but we're going to try to get more information for you.
Francisco, yeah, they have the jogger in custody. We got ground crews down there. They took him in custody right there. And Lizzie! I'm going to hoot and holler. I'm hooting and hollering for Lizzie. Yep. Suspect. You know what? I'd be careful with the her. I'm not sure. This might be the driver. I'm just going with what they're saying. Yep, that's them. That's them right now. Yeah, Mark, what can I do for you? Oh, man. You guys are good. The jogger was just a jogger. That poor guy. This could be the knucklehead that did all the crazy stuff today. Copy. All right, thank you. Let me try this. Let me just try to clean up the picture a little bit. It's too dark. Uh-oh. Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? Whose pickup truck was that? Are those Vans? Are you wearing Vans? That's right, Rick and Pat. A suspect just walked out of the tunnel. They just placed that person in the vehicle. Now in the police car. Got to say person, because now they're saying that possibly was the driver of that pickup truck, the male suspect. They apparently just walked out of the tunnel. We just saw the officers walk him to the car right there, placing him in custody. Now, who's that jogger? We don't know. They're going to have to sort this all out.
So we still have the guy that's in the back of the truck, and what you're looking at right now, this is the taxi cab driver here on the far right talking to a sheriff's deputy. Again, he is obviously okay and was not injured in this crash that involved this taxi cab. But again, we had 2 women who were immediately transported by LAFD to an area hospital. I'm assuming it looked like their injuries were not life-threatening, but they were certainly in a lot of pain, and they were given immediate attention. This is an area right now where the LAPD has now arrived as they join this investigation at this location where the Sheriff's Department has been holding down the fort. And again, we still have the suspect there in that car, and he is, again, being monitored very closely. Those are the choppers that you're hearing above us.